And this was a FEMA preparedness meeting with, I guess, I don't know, some representative of FEMA. I don't know if these are all FEMA, but obviously this guy here with the FEMA background obviously is. Yeah, I'll let you just listen to this.
Sparked a few things um, in my mind, thinking about preparedness and how you said, LGBTQIA people and people who have been disadvantaged already are struggling. They already have their own things to deal with. So you add a disaster on top of that. It's just,
Bro, we all have our own things to deal with.
compounding on itself. And I think that is maybe the why of why we're having these discussions, is because it isn't being talked about. It isn't being socialized. We're not paying attention to this community. Thank you so much. Maggie.
Thank you. There are a couple of things that are intersecting in my.
You can tell these people are freaking brain dead as shit. You got she, her. What did he have? He had he, they. Get the fuck out of here.
Thank you. There are a couple of things that are intersecting in my mind here. One of them is the culture of emergency management as an organization, as an industry in the United States specifically, not abroad. This has, and my cat sometimes does this, she gets really loud suddenly, so you'll have to just allow for the little meowing in the background. The shift that we're seeing right now is a shift in emergency management from utilitarian principles where everything is designed for the greatest good for the greatest amount of people to disaster equity. But we have to do more, right? And so this topic is intersecting, I think, with a number of other topics where we have to look at policies and understand to what extent they have disadvantaged communities that had less assets, communities that had pre-existing vulnerabilities in accessing disaster-related recovery support.
Dude, just help people. Like, why do we gotta say, hey, are you a part of the community I care about? Are you a part of my community? Dude, this is the shit that people why Trump draws in huge rallies, support from a lot of people, because it's this shit, and FEMA should be done away with. Absolutely, FEMA should be done away with. If that's the shit that they're trying to do and discuss in FEMA meetings, absolutely do away with FEMA. Who? Hold on. Who? Which?
The lady with the she, her that you were ragging on.
Well, no. Lady? Yeah, she. Hold on. You might get some feedback here.
Like, if you're rich and wealthy, she's saying like those people are probably getting more aid than the poor people.
That is not how I took this.
Yeah, like so she's saying aid should be utilitarian, right?
Yeah, and it is $750 across the board.
But that's not the end of the conversation, right? There's also getting to people's houses, making sure they have water and food and stuff like that, right? Which, if you are a wealthy person and you could just leave to go stay at a hotel, it's not as big an issue. But if you don't have anywhere to go, you can't move, you just lost everything because you live in one house, you're in more need than somebody who's making, $1 million. And not saying it's
there's a big difference on saying, hey, we should help the poor communities, because I mean, understand something. When you're saying I'm going to help the poor communities, that's probably where more people are anyways. You know?
Exactly.
I would completely agree. But the fact that this Tyler Atkinson and this Maggie Jerry were both talking about the alphabet people, which I'm not going to say that the alphabet people are poor or rich or anything. Why not just say poor people? We need to help the areas where there are more people poor per like real estate per square mile per acre, because that's typically where poor people are going to be, is they're going to be in more tightly packed areas of real estate. But they didn't say that. And that's the problem. That's where a lot of people are like, why not just say, okay, help poor people? No, you're saying, okay, we're going to prioritize helping out. Like, you just seem to say, hey, we're going to help everybody we can. We're going to prioritize, community, the poorer communities or township communities, because that's, probably where more people are rather than
I don't
the
understand. I
suburbs.
don't know the context in which they're giving this talk. If it's specifically for a specific group, just because they're talking about a specific group and they're just like talking about how do we help these people doesn't mean they're against helping everybody. Does that make sense?
No, I mean I can understand that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say
about like, hey, there's LGBT people in these communities, and for whatever reason, they are being like marginalized in the aid effort. Like people who in the community are just like, well, I'm not going to go help them because they're just against them.
Right.
Like,
I mean, I get that, but why do you need to even bring them up? There's such a small percentage. There's probably
conversation.
Right.
Again.
But there's such a small percentage of those people. Why do we need to focus on them? They would get assistance. Like, is there going to be like this alphabet people kind of like apartment complex that they're going to prioritize that? No, they're probably just, in an apartment complex. They can go on a line and apply for, the $750 assistance, just like everybody else. But I don't know what the necessary reason is to bring them up. There's such a small part of
the whole. Yeah, I get that.
So what do you need to talk about them for? And you're supposed to be the federal government. You're not supposed to be we're championing Pride Month.
Well, it's a very dangerous conversation.
What's dangerous about it?
Well, here's another example of like, why do we need to talk about them? Conversation. Black people in that community make up 18%. They aren't minority, so we don't even need to talk about them getting aid. It's the reasoning works. It just comes to a bad outcome, right?
Yeah, I mean the reasoning just doesn't make sense. Like when you're trying to help people out of a natural disaster, the last thing you should be talked about is, do you fit within the constructs of the people that we appeal to, right?
I think they're saying there are people who don't fit into the constructs, and for whatever reason, they are being marginalized and not getting the aid. It has nothing to say that other people aren't, like, they're saying other people are getting aid, these people aren't, and we would like to fix that disparity. Like, why are they being singled out for not getting aid?
So there's more resources and effort being made to reach out to such a minority of people that what's the value? What's it worth?
No. I mean, it's two people having a conversation on a podcast. It has no bearing on the actual efforts that are happening in that community. Nor do I think these two people are like the shot callers who are making policy on triaging who's going to get
so
first.
This FEMA disaster preparedness meeting, was this not like a FEMA sponsored type, or is this not a FEMA organized type meeting? I get it. It looks like it could be a podcast.
Like the brief snippet I got, that seems to be a policy discussion and not a how we are doing it discussion. Like one is like academic, the other is like boots on the ground doing the work. And this seems to be more of an academic like exercise and thought process and policies of like, how do we bring like these concepts into real life? It's not what's going on.
Right. Okay. Even still, I don't want the government talking about that. Like that shouldn't be the government's job. That should not be the government's focus.